Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going to r/MaliciousCompliance, where you do exactly as you're asked to get back at your enemies. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and maybe hype the video. Now, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Alright. Mystery shopping nonsense. Years ago, when I worked at a major chain convenience store, we had mystery shoppers hired by corporate that would come in and secretly evaluate the store. Employees paid depending on these evaluations. I worked at an overnight shift, 10 to 6 a.m. That's important because the mystery shopper evaluation list included asinine things like hot fresh coffee, roller grill full, and so on. Not having them would cause you to be docked points and thus not get raises. Now, if you ever worked this kind of job, you know that's just silly during those hours of nights. When there are a few customers, the idea is to balance valuability against waste. But after 2 rounds of my day coworkers getting raises, and I didn't because of store policy, because I didn't make extra coffee or roller grill items during the night, I spoke to my boss about it.
I understand that this is a corporate policy, and I also understand that our store policy is not to do this at night. What can I do as a night shift worker to get a better evaluation?
Something along those lines, not adversarial or anything.
And the boss told me, just make sure you get full points on every line. That's your only job.
And handed me another evaluation list to study. Okay, cue malicious compliance. For the next couple weeks, I made sure to make fresh coffee, decaf and regular roast at 10 p.m. when I get to work, and fully stock the roller grill. Hot dogs, jalapenos, sausage dogs, taquitos. And then when midnight, exactly when none of this stuff had actually sold, I closed the doors and went to stock the coolers. And this took around an hour, and is something that's done on night shift. So at 1 a.m., I would then toss all the roller grill items and pour the coffee down the drain and make 2 fresh pots and restock the grill and reopen the doors. And then at 4, I would dump it all and make it fresh again because it had been there for 2 hours. The boss called me in and told me as long as I get 10s on all the other items, I would be getting my raise along with everyone else from then on.
Just for fuck's sake, just stop wasting $100 a night of stuff that doesn't sell.
No problem, boss. Thanks. Too bad you didn't notice the issue until it cost you your bottom line, but we all can't win here. I miss a few raises, you lose a couple $100. Yeah, we win some, we lose some. Please forgive the typos. I try to check it out, but I have fat fingers from a medical condition, and I'm using a small smartphone screen outside of the cold, humid weather in Texas. Alright, let's read some of the comment. I would ask for back pay and raises for the missed raises from before. To be fair, it's retail. You gotta pick your battles. But also, to be fair, a job is a job and should pay a living wage. But honestly, I'm just narrator here talking about his own stuff. I'm just glad I get to talk into a microphone for a living. I got another channel where I do voice acting for comic dubs. I don't know how. I do not know what deal with the devil I have committed, but that channel actually pays my bills, and I still do not know how I'm doing it. I have no clue whatsoever. Anyway, on to the next video. Story. Video story. You know the deal. There's nothing that says the marketing team doesn't work directly with clients. About 10 years ago, I worked on a small web hosting company. Initially, I was hired as an entry-level support, taking calls from customers that accidentally broke their websites or needed passwords reset. Then I worked my way up to the team lead, where I was working with SSL certificates and cloud hosting accounts for high-value customers. Finally, they moved me to the marketing team after they found out I had an English writing degree. This was my first copywriting job, and a huge step in my career, as I'm still a copywriter to this day. I remember being overjoyed when I accepted the position and thought, I'm never taking another angry phone call for the rest of my life. Cut to about a year later, I'm writing blogs, video scripts, and most importantly, not taking phone calls, and I'm at my desk in the marketing department, and in walks the team lead that took my position after I was promoted. We will call her Ruth. Side note, I objected to Ruth being promoted into my old role because she's extraordinarily bullheaded and rude. She would repeatedly overstep her bounds as an entry-level tech, telling other employees when they could and couldn't go to lunch, and trying to manage the call queue when her only job was to take said calls. Ultimately, my calls were unheeded, and she got the job. Ruth walks up to my desk and sets a bulleted list in front of me. It's a vague business strategy she's written up. Essentially, the cloud hosting division of the company is rapidly expanding, and the CSO tasked Ruth with figuring out how to field all of the additional high-value customers. Ruth's solution: I resume some of my responsibilities as a tech team lead to take escalations from angry cloud customers. I obviously said absolutely not, and she completely ignored me and just kept going over the strategy, like literally saying, "No, Ruth, I'm not doing this." And she's like, "Uh-huh. Anyway, as you can see here, when a tech needs to escalate a call, it will come to you." I was fuming, but patiently explained that I was on the marketing team, and my tech support days are over. She said, "Well, I checked the roles and responsibilities section in the company handbook, and there's nothing that says the marketing team doesn't work directly with clients." She then gave me a shit-eating grin and says, "We'll have to get a phone installed at your desk," and leaves. I was effing livid. I'd be going from no phone calls to specifically only taking calls from the angriest customers we have. Then, as I was recounting this awful situation to one of the graphic designers, something dawned on me when I remembered what she said about the roles in the company handbook. As the only copywriter, I was the one in charge of managing and updating the handbook. The graphic designer saw this dawn of realization on my face and was like, "Oh man, please do what I think you're gonna do." So I logged into Evernote, or whatever system we were using to manage and edit the handbook, and added a subsection to the marketing team roles and responsibilities that specifically said we do not take phone calls, emails, or have any direct interactions with the customers. This also safeguarded the graphic designers and videographers from any future BS from Ruth. I took the changes to the CSO, who gave me a smirk and signed off on the edits. I then took the signed changes to Ruth and set them on her desk. Yeah, actually, it does say in the company handbook that the marketing team can't take calls, as you can see right here. I guess you'll have to figure something else out. I'm so sorry. She stared daggers at me, but I just shrugged it off and left. That was, thankfully, the last of our interactions. She ended up poaching some top performers from the entry-level tech team to make a dedicated cloud team that never really functioned well, and she ultimately quit without a 2-week notice a few months later, so I got some extra "I told you so" satisfaction about her not being qualified for the job as well. I still haven't taken a single customer phone call since I became a copywriter, and I intend to keep it that way. Someone in the comments says, "It's all about knowing what you're authorized to do." I remember attending an IMAX movie where the line was really long and went upstairs. My buddy and I saw a formerly unseen elevator door open, and we hustled to it as a chance to bypass the line. There was an employee in the elevator who told us that we had to be authorized to use the elevator. My buddy was like, "Can you authorize us?" And then after a brief pause, the employee said, "Yeah, why not? Hop on." We got fantastic seats. I'm still impressed by his immediate ability to ask the right question. Anyway, we're going on to the next story now. We have rules in this house. Oh, thanks for reminding me, bro. I live in an apartment complex and have 2 neighbors, Martha and, well, let's call him Shaggy. You'll get why. Martha is a sweet old lady and Shaggy is a total and utter anus. He complained about the noise when I moved in, although I try to be as quiet as I can. Some noise just can't be avoided. He complains about the noise if I so much as sneeze, and woe be upon me if I forget to clean the hallways when it's my turn. His favorite sayings,
"We have rules in this house."
Whatever I do wrong, even the smallest infraction that a normal person would either overlook or seek a private talk about, he reported it to the house owner, or call the cops. I have nothing but trouble with this mofo, and I hate his guts. One day, I got the cops called on me due to a noise complaint at 9:50 p.m. House rules say they have to keep the noise down to apartment level starting at 10 p.m. I immediately knew that the culprit was Shaggy because Martha not only does not give a damn unless I make so much noise the entire complex is shaking on its foundations, but is also completely deaf without her hearing aids, which she removes every day at 8 p.m. sharp. While the cops were snooping around my apartment, they were called because there were screams and curses coming from my apartment, and they wanted to make sure I had not killed anyone, even though I just burned myself something fierce on the stove and had vented my pain and frustration, and generally being a bother. One of them suddenly asks me,
"Do you smoke weed?"
and points out the window at the playground behind the complex, and that was when it hit me. Cannabis may have been legalized here in Germany, but the law states that there are places where you're simply not allowed to light up, like in the vicinity of playgrounds, schools, childcare facilities, and so on. It makes sense, yeah? And Shaggy is a freaking stoner. Oh, he walks around with red eyes, his apartment and clothes reek of this stuff, and I have never seen him sober. He is constantly high as a kite, which makes arguing with him both scary and a little funny. Well, anyway, the playground behind the apartment complex means the entire complex is a no-weed zone, even if you only light up indoors. But like I said, Shaggy's a bastard and a stickler for the rules. Well, two can play at that game. I eventually got the cops off my butt after I'd looked into every nook and cranny and found no corpse. I told them to go check out Shaggy, telling them about his weed use near a playground. And guess who got his apartment searched top to bottom and eventually arrested when he tried to attack an officer because he dared to touch his stash. Don't forget, we have rules in this house, Shaggy. Anyway, Aunt Edith says, I know about Martha's hearing aid habits because I help her out with stuff, household work, going shopping for her, and so on. While we are together, she likes to talk my ear off, many old people like to talk if they have an audience, about anything and whatever, and after a few times the topic of me being worried that I'm too noisy for her liking came up. And since Shaggy constantly complains, she laughed me off and waved me off with a, "Don't bring up the house and don't bring down the house and we're good." Besides, I remove my hearing aids in the evening at 8 p.m. Weird habit, I know. And the cops didn't kick in Shaggy's door on just my say-so. They went across the hallway, rang the bell, and when Shaggy answered, they both took a step back upon the smell coming from his apartment. When they asked him if he's aware that there's a playground behind the house and there are children in the house, kids of other inhabitants on the other floors, he became aggressive as in, "Piss off, man, it's all good nowadays." The police officers then asked him to show him his stash because while weed is legal now, there's a limit to how much you're allowed to have, even in your apartment, 50 grams and up to 3 plants per adult person. He refused, and the cops cited probable cause because he is obviously hiding something and could hide or destroy the evidence if they waited for a warrant. They shoved Shaggy aside, he followed them in, and apparently the cops found way more than he is allowed to have, because there was yelling, a commotion, and then Shaggy was let out in cuffs, with one of the officers sporting a black eye. Let's read the comments. Someone quoted OP with, "Guess who got his apartment searched top to bottom and eventually arrested him when he tried to attack an officer because he dared to touch his stash. We have rules, Shaggy." And then the commenter says, "Holy shit, he actually attacked a police officer when his house was being searched? I love it. He didn't just get caught breaking the rules, he actually went the extra mile and dug himself so deep in a hole. It is wild. I love it." That is the end of today's storytelling video. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and consider hyping the video. That will help a ton. Now, I will see you all next time. Have a nice time. Wait, actually, I'm gonna do a wink before I leave. I'm gonna see if my model thing can handle that. Yeah, I did a wink. Let's go.